The dream of the future you see dissolves, and with time, so does the apprehension. The world under sun is no exception, and all you see around you evolves. New traits and things familiar can be sensed, but futile is hope without fruition. The grief you knew begets no vision. The happiness you felt becomes regret. Winter fades and takes its cold and storm. Spring revives the world with love and warmth, but still the law, all things decay and age. Vanity itself won't dry your tears, and so you fear as your time draws near. The world will turn, but never change.
Okay, hello everyone, welcome to the beginning of Playthrough of the Void. This is much like Pathologic 2, something I never thought I would actually get around to playing, but for slightly different reasons than Pathologic. I'm really bad at this game. I've beaten it a couple of times, but honestly I don't really like my chances of doing this on stream. I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to have to save and reload and do all these kinds of things. I'm fully anticipating a lot of difficulty, a lot of strife, but I'm also looking forward to giving this a go because one of my big projects... Hello Midler7, how's it going? One of my big projects for this year as well is to write a big old video on this game. So much like my Pathologic 2 and Pathologic streams, these streams are a way for me to get to grips with the game in a really concentrated way, and also give me stuff that I can easily look back on that I know I have recorded. And it also gives you, the viewer, the opportunity to, provide your own input. I mean, if you've played this game before, you'll know how difficult it is. You might have your own interpretation of the events, of what we're going to see, and you might just, want to share that kind of thing. So that's really what I'm here to facilitate on these streams, is people sharing their own painful, dreadful experiences with these games. So this game is outwardly hostile, it really hates you, it lies to you at almost every turn, but it's also incredibly beautiful, and everyone should play it, but no one does. That poem that you heard at the start, that was a Portuguese poem, really beautiful poem, one of my favourites. I wish I could remember the name of the poet off the top of my head, but I think he wrote in the 15th or the 16th century, and just a great poem about the human experience, about how all things age and change, and to a certain extent decay. Everything changes, and that's the basic theme of this game, is that you have to deal with a changing world, a dissolving world, a world in ruin. Hello Shubil fan. I just got this game recently but haven't played it yet. Would you say it's more difficult than Pathologic? Yes, I would. As I said, I'm really bad at this game, which doesn't help, but this game's mechanics are much less forgiving than Pathologic. Quite often in Pathologic, if you get yourself into a really bad situation, there is often something quite crafty you can do to get yourself out of it. The Void is not like that. The Void is, if you get yourself into a bad situation, you have probably just wasted hours of your life. That's been my experience. It's not a waste, of course, because it's a learning experience, but you've just lost hours of progress, and you're going to have to go all the way back. One of the main mechanics of this game that you're going to see is you have to sort of plant your own resources in advance. So basically you're growing your character's main resource pool, which is their health and basically their mana mixed together. It's really clever. But if you're not managing that correctly, if you're not planting that correctly, if you're not thinking hours in advance, you will die. Whereas Pathologic, at least, I think, you can sort of mitigate that stuff if you are lucky or you're crafty. The Void is much less forgiving in that sense. So yes, I would say it's more difficult than Pathologic. But good on you for getting it. I hope you enjoy it when you play it, and I hope you enjoy this playthrough. It's going to be an absolute disaster. I'm really looking forward to it. And the first thing you'll notice is just how beautiful the game is, right?
Recover it before life leaves you completely.
This game has inspired a lot of my personal writing, and it's kind of hard for it not to be honest. The environments are just the most beautiful, surreal environments I've ever seen in a video game. I remember finishing the original Pathologic and then immediately sort of jumping my way to this.
Moments left before your soul dies forever. Take the heart. It's easy.
And I was just immediately entranced. I mean, the first thing I was doing, I was just hammering the Steam screenshot key over and over and over again, because it just pops off the screen straight into your imagination. This is one of those games that sort of acts as a touchstone for me.
Good. I know that hurt, but there's no other way. Now you can hold color in your heart. Come closer. Do you see the great tree? I'm here, inside.
There's, just so much to enjoy about this game. It's this beautiful little nightmare. It's really one of the best ways I can think to describe it. So hostile, so unforgiving, but the beauty of these kinds of games and why I gravitate towards the stuff that Ice Pick Lodge makes is that the effort required to eke out an existence in them is itself rewarding. So when you finally reach some kind of stability or equilibrium, you know that you've earned that. So here we have the Nameless Sister. We're going to get the tutorial here, how to talk to her. This tutorial itself, already lying to you. You don't need to spend 38 colour to talk to her, you just need to spend 1. That's the very first trap the game throws at you.
Desert on the threshold of death. I think it's somewhere underground, but not deep. And around it, emptiness. You see how cold and still it is here, how desolate. But this is not yet your death. That awaits below, in the cold, when the last drop of color leaves your soul. We call it absolute death. Remember this always. Here in the void, nothing is more precious than color. Color is life. It is our food, our strength, our hope. It is the essence and meaning of our suffering. And now yours. Look, what you take is on the right. It's your memory. Lympha of color is kept in it. What you can give is on the left, your palette. The color that sprouted inside you into forbidden nerva. To tame color, you must transform it through a beating heart. A spirit must fill his hearts with collected color to support life within himself. As time passes in the void,
Color will grow into nerva and flow into your palette. You can use this color to touch the world around you, because here it is color that gives life. Take some color from your memory, some lympha, and fill your heart with it.
Okay, so the thing of most importance in this world is color, and essentially what we are is a color sort of conversion factory. So the stuff on the right is the sort of raw, unprocessed stuff that we have to process in our heart, essentially, to make it usable in that menu on the left.
Take a look around this chamber and collect what you can. And please listen to my advice, or your soul will soon be dead forever. Go now. Don't worry, I'll always be here.
So,
Do you see the golden flowers? Collect what you can in this chamber. Yes, that's right. But it isn't enough. You need more.
yeah, we're definitely going to need a lot. So color is the sort of the basis for all of our actions that we're going to take in this game. We need as much color as possible. It acts as our life bar. It acts as the sort of ideological center for many of the game's characters and the arguments they're going to posit, because each and every color has a sort of spiritual significance, but also mechanical significance. Some colors are better at some things than others. Unfortunately, it's been long enough that I can't remember specifically what each color is really good at, so I'm going to have to relearn that. I think blue is good at speed or something, but there are also sort of more abstract concepts that each color is associated with, like kindness, strength, these kinds of things. And occasionally, I'm not sure if hopefully the sound is loud enough for you to hear the in-game volume, but occasionally we're going to hear color whispering to us. If you ever hear any whispers,
Fill your heart fully.
that's color.
It is time to enter the void, where your color will begin to dissipate.
And so the game really asks a lot of you. So down the bottom here, this is the kind of stuff that just the game does not really explain to you very well. So we're a color factory, right? We understand that. I've put 72 into my heart, which gives us, some health down here. 72. So this is the weird bendy meter here. That's our health. If that goes to 0 in the main map, we die. We can also only save on the main map as well. So that's basically always going to be depleting. Here we are. Yeah. So speed is blue. Metabolism is amber. Anger is red, of course. Frost, silver. Inspiration is violet. Defense is green. And trust is gold. So we're going to encounter a number of different characters and creatures in the void, and some of them will prefer certain colors. What we're going to do is make sure that I've actually collected all of the color from around here, because again, we're going to need every single scrap that we can get. Every bit of color that you get, we're going to transfer that into a garden at some point. So the gardens are little areas where you start to grow your own color, because of course you can't rely at a later stage on finding bits like this, which is what separates, I think, Pathologic from the Void. Is that in Pathologic, at least, there's still a chance that you can sort of scavenge for yourself. You can find some stuff that that goes out the window at a certain point. In the Void, if you don't have gardens, you're not finishing the game. If you don't have well-managed gardens, I should say, you're not going to finish the game. I mean, my bare sort of requirement for this playthrough is that I actually get to see the bad ending. I don't even know whether I'm going to be able to see the good ending, or any of the sort of good endings, but that's okay. I'm fully anticipating that outcome, so I'll surprise myself if I actually do good at all. I'm playing the Steam version of the game. It's otherwise unpatched. I know that there's sort of there are some easier patches that you can install, but I'm just playing on the regular version on Steam. I haven't opted for anything extra or special there, so the game is sort of balanced as the developers intended in a very raw fashion. But you can sort of see what I'm saying about the surreal nature of the environments, right? Is that we have environments that are sort of unlike any that you'd see in any other video game, really. Meticulously constructed 3D environments that look as though they've sort of come out of a dream. If there was anything remotely close to sort of what I've played in terms of 3D environments that look like this, there are two games that come to mind. There's The Dream Machine, which is a point-and-click 2D adventure that is sort of completely handcrafted, made of clay. And then we also have Silent Hill 4. Does remind me a little bit occasionally, with the game's very disjointed other worlds. So maybe this sort of endless sea could remind us of Water Prison World, for instance. But there's not really that much like the Void, and you're going to notice that the further and further we get into the game is that the Void is outwardly weird and hostile, and even its sort of moralities and ways of being, they feel totally foreign to the way that we normally engage with video games. And I think it's really, really special, but that's also why I have hesitated to play it so far and, make a video on it and sort of saying anything conclusive about it, is because this game defies basically all expectations in terms of genre, in terms of video game design, mechanics, narrative. All of these things are sort of turned on their head, and it's this really confronting, beautiful, very difficult game. And I'm really hoping that I can do it justice with these streams, and also with the video that I want to make, which hopefully I'll be able to produce later in the year. There's a lot to talk about, very dense, very confronting. So, famine. A man loses his soul only when it dies from a long hunger. A hungry soul falls into the icy emptiness where death awaits. But once in 1,000 times, before disappearing forever, the soul briefly lingers in the void. One can only get his soul back if it opens to colour, accepts it, and understands its meaning and purpose. Then the soul will be able to turn death back, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So the void itself, exactly what it is sort of up for debate, but the most obvious interpretation is that we're, as the Nameless Sister said, a desert on the threshold of death.
Colour used to be plentiful here, but it turned its back on us. Sisters died, compelling our raging brothers to beg the void for forgiveness. As long as you're here, you will have to fight to survive. See these wheels? Inside each chamber, time stands still, but not here in the void. Color turns into nerva inside your hearts. Your life leaves as the color leaves. When your hearts are empty, you will die. Take care. Now you are here, by my chamber. To travel to other chambers, use color to mark your path, like this. Try it. Make make a path with color and enter the chamber when you arrive.
I think it's very easy as well to read this game and the void itself as a kind of allegory for the Mind Fist, for climate change, for a sort of a growing, weirder world with sort of more extreme measures and also sort of wastefulness, right?
The more hearts you open inside yourself,
The main
the
thing,
more color you'll be able to transform and the stronger you'll be.
the main thing that we want
And
to
each
do
heart will grant
is
you the gift of a glyph. It's thought that the limit of a soul is 20
I've lost my train of thought. Thanks, Nameless Sister.
Perhaps such a powerful soul could even stand up to the brothers. For now, there is a heart in this chamber, I'm sure of it. Some are easy to find like that, some are not. Search for it, my sweet.
So yeah, I mean, you'll notice every environment has its own bizarre landmarks. We're sort of drifting in this bizarre world, but even within this sort of abstract, totally abstract environment, we're looking at resource overuse, and we can sort of imagine that the world that we're in has sort of resulted because, for one reason or another, there has been the misuse of finite resources, and that this is why we're sort of living in this mined out, colorless world. So I think it's very easy to read this game as, a parallel for that kind of resource, wastefulness in the face of ongoing ecological disaster. Human beings continuing to misuse and misappropriate the environment leaves us with these horrible, weird environments that don't really conform to anything. And if we overspend color ourselves, we actually do end up poisoning the environment. This is something the game doesn't really tell you, and that's one of the reasons I expect I will lose, because I'm still not very good at managing my color in
Increasing
that
the
way.
amount of color used in the glyph lengthens the duration of the shield.
Cool, so here we start to get our abilities. For anyone who's played Okami, might feel vaguely reminiscent of this. So we're using color to draw these symbols that give us different powers. You'll notice that when you're drawing, color is always ticking down. So part of what makes this game so difficult is that you have to draw these symbols, but also in a very finite amount of time, so you don't waste all of your color, which is, may I remind you, your health. So basically you're spending your own HP to fight enemies, or to cast your spells, or whatever you want to call them, cast your glyphs. So the whole game is this really stressful, it's basically resource management, survival horror, turned up to the extreme, where you're using your very health, your very blood, in order to have these sort of extra, these offensive capabilities, right? And you might have heard that just then. We had a voice of color whispering that no one will protect you better than I. That was Green talking to us there. What I'm going to try and do is drop down into the little Easter egg ledge. I don't want to fight this thing. Oh, because the camera locked on, I missed. We're just going to immediately go back in.
And they dissipate as we speak. Quickly, collect what you can, and never forget that time is killing you. Time is taking your color. Time is your real foe.
So obviously the game's theme is very strong. Time is always passing, much like Pathologic. And we're also existing at a subsistence level. Yeah, I got you. So we'll put some in there. So that's going to process and come over to the side so we can actually use it.
Color. With two hearts, transform two colors inside you.
We have this quite a funky jump. There's some interesting physics going on in this kind of world. But basically, the story of the game is entropy in a microcosm, right? We have this world that is already horrible, just blasted to hell and back. And the expectation is that we sort of survive in it, which is easier said than done. Because this is a very confronting world, very difficult world to survive in. And you have to be very selfish. So the themes of the world are very similar to that of Pathologic. But in some regard, this is basically Pathologic turned up to this sort of kind of abstract extreme. It is probably a very reductive way to look at it. But it's another way of looking at Pathologic's mechanics, taking them out of a real world and transposing them. Here's a little Easter egg in here. It's the domain of the powers that be, a little bloody sandbox. And just some things of colour scattered around. A game of make-believe in a little groved wood that has since been abandoned. It's a lovely little Easter egg to include in the very first area of the game. Not much more to say about it really. It's just a nice little curio. Okay, and then we can step into this to be teleported away.
When your palette is full of a colour, any additional nerva of that colour will spill into the void.
Okay, so we can't sort of over-consume, basically. So we can see down the bottom of her picture there, she likes green and gold. What we want to do is then go to the reservation. I'm going to stock up a little bit more here. A little bit more there. Just to make sure we don't die. And I will also save the game. Cool. So the game does give you a few autosaves, I think, at the start, and then sort of starts to forget about that.
This is a reservation. Predators used to dwell here. They're half-dead creatures, neither living nor dead. I think they appeared when random drops of color merged with inanimate matter. But since the famine came, only the plants are left. Collect all the color that hasn't dissipated yet, then return to the void.
So the very early part of the game especially is spent living at this scavenger level, looking for all of the colour we can find, and then we need to plant as much of that colour as we can in the garden, while also making sure we've left enough for ourselves to stay alive while we wait for that same colour to grow. It takes a cycle, I think a cycle or two. It takes a cycle to grow, and then it takes a little while for the garden to be usable again. So you really have to strategize not only the route that you're going to be taking through the world, but also the amount that you're going to be planting, because the amount you plant increases your return, but it does make you weaker while you're waiting for that return to come. It's a very harsh and unforgiving game in that respect. There's a couple of little plants in here that I might put some colour into, such as this one. And a little tutorial here. So
a heart grants you the knowledge to handle colour.
Again, the game lied to us. It's like, you gotta spend 30 colour on that? No, you don't.
Your first and most important heart is the donor glyph. This is forbidden knowledge and punishable by death. It is the ability to give, to rip colour out of yourself and turn the dead into the living. revive the tree. And remember, the more you give, the more the tree will give back to you.
And of course it's so so abstract, I think. There's just so much happening that it's really hard to take in on a first playthrough. What I'll do is give it some... Actually, I will... we'll give it some green. We'll just try and draw this.
There are many trees here, but you have little color. Return to the void, and I will tell you more.
So that's an example of how you plant color. The tree will bloom at the beginning of the next cycle. So we're going to return to this area in the next cycle, and we'll be able to harvest some color from it. Theoretically just a little bit more than we gave it. So it's tough to find the balance, of course, between being generous and also failing to be generous and only surviving for a little bit longer, up to a point when, if you'd been really clever, you could have given yourself just enough to continue surviving beyond that point. It's this horrible game that really asks you to pay attention to the resources that you're using, which makes everything that you're doing feel so fraught and like a mistake waiting to happen. It's very much a game that is hostile towards you, the player. It's a world that's hostile towards you, which again is so important, as a player, that you are able to sort of actually exist, that you're able to make a living in a world like this. It really feels like a triumphant moment when you're doing okay, and there's not many games that can claim to sort of have that impact, that kind of moment, I think. The basic goal of the game as well is to open up more chambers. That's our goal at the moment, and to do that we have to give the Nameless Sister some more colour. So essentially we have to save up enough colour to give away, which then allows us to expand into more areas and get more colour, and the cycle then repeats for a little bit until the game's objectives kind of change. But obviously when that happens, I'll get into it then, but we sort of have enough to worry about at the moment, given that we're existing in this sort of horrible state. What we're going to do now, there's another tree over here, so I'm just going to go plant some colour in that tree just over here, and just once again you can really appreciate the look of the environments and sort of the painted texture of whatever's up above, the sky of the void being this fractured blue mottled mess. Maybe the moon is sort of almost looks like it's entwining with a number of branches there. Just these impossible vistas it makes for this world that you sort of don't want to leave, you want to see more of. But the world that we have access to right now, that's a world that has been long destroyed. Like, we've got a ruin on our hands.
And you will give your color drop by drop so others live. But don't you give away too much. Only take. It's too early for you to feed others with your blood.
Okay, so we have this philosophy espoused by a number of characters. It's really careful not to give away too much, and that same thing happens in Pathologic as well, right? Like, you're told as Artemy that you got to look after yourself first. You're the doctor. Don't go giving away stuff that you can't afford to give away.
There's
And
one chamber left.
the void is this extreme version of
Danger is
that.
close. I can feel it.
So the character designs as well in the void, some of my favorites. I just think this world is incredibly well designed. It's so easy, I think, to invest yourself in. So we've got a garden here. And this is where we're going to be planting the majority
Chambers
of our
like
colour.
these are gardens. You can grow colour here by yourself. Any colour, and as much as you want. Approach a tree and touch it with a drop of colour.
So I think this is one of the parts of the game that's very satisfying, is injecting this barren, foggy wasteland with some colour. It feels like you're making a difference, right? So if I do this, say we'll give it 30 or so.
Remember the most important rule. Colour is your blood and your life stream. For any of your actions you pay with a part of your own life. So when you draw yourself a life, there's only one rule that counts. Always. The more colour you use, the brighter the result will be.
So yeah, again we have this motif that colour is your blood, and you can't go donating too much blood, otherwise you yourself are going to die. So we might need to, put a bit more into our bodies, into our body here, into our hearts, and process it. We don't have that much colour left over here in our palette to actually paint, but I could put down another green tree for a moment, and we'll give that as much green as we can. Okay. And despite having played this game a lot, there's still this sort of undercurrent for me of like, am I doing the right thing? So a lot of the stuff that I'm doing right now could very easily come back to bite me. We'll put down one more gold tree, just here. And you can see as well, down here, I think what I might have messed up a little bit is the sort of maximum amount of colour that a tree can take. So again, you've got to avoid wasting it, and I feel as though I've already wasted a bit of colour. But that's part of the learning curve. But already, this place looks a little livelier. We have sort of just what looks like hope, stretching up into the sky just a little bit, penetrating this sort of endless, bleak landscape all around us. And what I really like about, I think, all of Ice Pick Lodge's games really is that you don't need a huge sprawling environment to make an impact on a player in terms of like feelings of the sublime or feelings of awe or imagination or discovery, because you can make little spaces like this, and they can almost be just enough, I think, to sort of spark your imagination. Like this, you could frame this and put it on your wall as a screenshot. I think it just draws you in, right? You just want to know more about the world that you find yourself in. It's just it's a game I really, really love, but I find very intimidating, even more so than Pathologic, because I want to get this game right, I think, just because it's so unique and so special, and I feel as though more people should play it, but no one really does, as I said before.
I have more to tell you.
And that's for a number of fairly good reasons, given how difficult the game can be. And here's the important thing: so if we run out, we can't actually move around, so that's why I left myself with a little bit of blue, just to get back to the greenhouse. Alright. And the game has a wonderful soundtrack by Vasily Kashnikov, I believe, who also known as Mushroomer, who did Knock Knock, Pathologic 2, and I believe also Pathologic 3. So he's been there sort of long time composer, and does an excellent job, obviously, I still listen to all of the soundtracks very, very frequently. It's very melancholic, very entrancing.
I didn't warn you about the most important thing. Time, cold, and hunger aren't the most dangerous threats here. Listen, I'm hoping the brothers left this place forever. But if they ever return and find you, you'll be thrown into the nightmare. If they understand who you really are, there'll be no mercy. They're brutal, but blind. We could trick them together. If you collect the color in my chambers, grow a garden, and feed me, they'll decide that you're a new brother, the one that I was destined to. Then they'll accept you as their apprentice and give you some color so you won't die of hunger. And then we would see what we could do. Start by growing a garden. This is your best life source. Fill as many trees as possible to the tips of the branches and collect your first harvest. Then my heart will be at ease.
Cool, so the goal now is basically to survive and make ourselves a part of the brothers. The guardians of this place may return at any moment. You need to prepare for this occasion and disguise as one of them. First of all, you need to grow a garden with enough colour to support your life. And something wicked will happen soon. To visit all the chambers and collect colour while it hasn't evaporated. And we also have these sort of preview here of all of the different sisters. So there are two categories, sisters and brothers, and there's the more masculine brothers that have these horrifying bodies that have been warped and twisted by the thing below the void called the nightmare, and they have their own monstrous philosophies. And I wanted to make a video on them as well. I think there's a lot to say about some of them, and just their designs. They're very, very well designed. So the basic goal is just to sit in the void until the next cycle and sort of process some of this colour that I have. Gonna do my very best not to die immediately. I remember I was so confused when I first played this. There's just so much going on, so much to remember. I died many times before I escaped this first set of chambers. I'm not sure whether I'll escape this first set of chambers today on stream. I'm hoping I will, so we can go and meet these other two sisters. But we should at least be able to meet some of the brothers. So I'm going to process some more blue here, and some more gold. Just keep processing that. You can see the cycle up the top, ticking by. So a lot of the game, to a certain extent, is waiting. The other thing I did want to observe is that on the right of every picture you've got the image of the Nerva, and sometimes we can see how much colour of each type remains within just by looking at this image, so we can see, is this chamber actually worth travelling to? Of course, time is always ticking down, so sometimes you don't have the time to check without dying, but it is worth looking at. So every cycle is basically like a season.
Feels almost as if colour has come into the void. Just a little bit, but still. Something has changed. In the old times it used to be like this. With each cycle, colour came to the chambers of its favourite sisters, until colour became angry with us and left forever. But now, could it be that these drops have come for you?
Is there no one who will bring us color?
So we can hear your voices in the background, and you can see that, yeah, some colour has appeared. The first thing, we'll go to the reservation. You can see, yeah, our health is getting quite low there, and our health can be affected by creatures that we encounter as well, so we can die in regular gameplay.
I sense two hiding here. I can hear them.
So the objective is to get rid of the predators, and of course the game, as usual, is hiding stuff from us, but we don't know that at the moment, of course. What I'm here to do is see whether or not these trees will return any investment at all, or whether I sort of wasted some colour on them. I think I might have wasted some colour on them, but we'll get a little bit back anyway. We'll get 30 from this tree, and then once we've used it, the tree will bloom at the beginning of the next cycle. So we can't immediately replant stuff on the tree. There's also a tree over there actually that I should have planted. I'd forgotten about that one. But we should have, yeah, a couple of creatures in here that we might have to fight or avoid, and it's as simple as just putting your cursor over them and painting all over them with some colour, and essentially the colour rips them to shreds. So it seems to me. But yeah, so we've got these large sort of bat-like predator creatures that have been attracted by colour, and we have to deal with them somehow. The trick is, of course, dealing with them causes you to spend colour, which can later on attract more creatures. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise that one just went down that way. We're going to get another 30 blue back from this tree. So yeah, I feel like I might have lost a little bit of colour there, but that's okay. It's all part of the learning experience of this game. I'm getting back into it, remembering all the various confronting, difficult mechanics. Okay, so, and if we travel back up this way, I'll go have a look at the garden next. And recover some of the colour we spent there. Put some more green in there. And just put all the rest of our gold in there. So we've got quite a bit to plant. So we'll be able to do that next.
Looks like there's only one.
But we might have to fight this one.
Here. Do you hear it?
So we're going to get quite a bit from this tree. And you can see the physics. Like, I'm not pressing the jump button. I'm just being launched sometimes totally randomly. So there is a little bit of good old-fashioned jank as we maneuver the environments. But what I'm really hoping is that, you know, I can get to some of the really cool environments. Like, as cool as these ones are, I have favourites that I prefer even later on. Just stuff that I really hold up in my memory, even a few years after playing it through properly for the first time, or not for the first time, but you know. Previously, the last time I played it through properly was several years ago, so I still remember those. There's a particular set of locations that I really, really like. So let's try and avoid the creature, but I may have to end up fighting them. We'll plant some blue this time, and let's see how far we can go. Go all the way. So 40 in there. Put away some more gold, I suppose. But we don't want to give away too much, obviously, because that reduces our offensive capabilities if this creature happens to attack us. But it is important to always be planting something, right? Because if you're not planting something, you're not going to be able to survive on the scraps that remain. So you can look at that. We see we have a full. I always get the two mixed up, but Nerva and a palette over here is looking quite depleted. So what we might do is come back to the garden a little bit later on. Now that we've planted a few things here, we'll go to the mine and see what we can collect, because we'd certainly have enough health to see us through this cycle. And we should have enough to travel between areas. The really important thing is to sort of stay on top of it by only spending, as little color as possible, so be really efficient with your brush strokes. Don't give away too much.
I sense two hiding here. I can hear them.
So I think she does want us to kill them. Oh dear, that was close. But I can't remember if we can skip that objective or whether it's required, because it hasn't popped up here. Souls, the void. So we have some more information here as well. Color is not infinite. The void will only ever provide a certain amount of color. Color will appear with each new cycle, but each cycle provides more than the last, thus shortening the void's lifetime. The more silver that currently exists in the void, the faster this process occurs. So color affects the world itself, right? And this is what the game wants us to read about and think about, but it's also really hard to keep that in mind when you're just trying to survive. So playing the void optimally is not something I'm going to be able to do, I don't think. I'm perfectly willing to surprise myself and everybody else, but I doubt that's going to happen. So any action you take is drawn with color you possess. Each color, when released into the void, alters the world irreversibly. Be careful, dear guest, for when you affect the world, the changes can turn against you. Each color's influence depends on how much of it currently exists in the void. You cannot recover the color you spend, but the proportion of colors in the void can change. So we also have, this menu shows the negative results of each color in the void. So crimson is the color of anger. The more crimson that currently exists in the void, the more predators will appear, the more frequently the brothers will attack, and the more damage the enemy's blows will deal. Amber makes the void panic. The more amber there is, the more attention the brothers will pay to your canvases, and the faster they will rob the chambers. So later on, the brothers, spoiler alert, are going to come back, and sometimes they can just go and take the color out of your garden, which can really just screw you over completely. Feels quite unfair, because it is. Azure, like the color of suffering, likes to play with the flow of time. I called it blue. No, it's azure. That's much fancier. Though it is said that time stands still inside the chambers, it's not so. It can be slowed, but it can't be stopped. The more azure that currently exists in the void, the more time you will lose after you visit each chamber. So that might be why time is ticking down quite fast, it seems, because we do actually have some azure in the void. Violet doesn't like conflicts. The more violet that currently exists in the void, the harder it will be for you to fight. Violet reduces the strength of your blows in combat. Yep. Emerald makes the void viscous. The more emerald that currently exists in the void, the more color you will spend on each line you draw. Emerald increases the obligatory minimum of color drops for each glyph. And then finally, what exists the most in the void at the moment is gold. So gold makes the void jealous. The more gold that currently exists in the void, the more jealous the brothers will become. They'll pay closer attention to the sisters and punish them by ripping out the hearts you've opened. So the brothers can really set back your progress if you're not careful, which can make the game unwinnable, which happened to me a couple of times. Is that I got screwed over one too many times and I just couldn't pull myself back. So I get to the end of the game, but I get the bad ending. I've only ever got one proper ending, and that took an incredible amount of effort. So we'll see whether, we'll see whether we can actually manage that. But just keep it in the back of your mind as you're watching, or if you go away and decide to play the game, that the colors of the void actually do have an effect. It might seem as though the game isn't complicated enough, doesn't have enough mechanics to remember about, but yes, the colours themselves do matter. They do have strengths and they do have weaknesses. So here we can show off what it means to fight one of these creatures. So you can just paint over it like that and it explodes.
That's how you use colour to fight. Remember, the more colour you put into your blows, the greater the damage will be.
So we are actually going to need to learn how to fight, because there will be some, I believe there's at least 1 or 2 mandatory combat sections besides this bit here, and they can be quite difficult. So that was also a result of me being wasteful. So we can chase after it, and hopefully it won't despawn. But if you pick it up and your node's already full, we can potentially lose it. So it was a good thing it didn't fly too far away. But really important to be actually aware of how much we have. We're pretty close to the limit with a number of these colours at the moment, which is good, but it does mean that some of it, could go to waste. So we do have to be careful. We're looking for another creature, I think. We might as well do what she wants, just so we can show off as much of the dialogue and story as possible. We just got to find this other bizarre creature. That's the other thing I like, is the creature designs themselves, much like the spaces they inhabit, are these sort of half-formed abominations and monstrosities that don't really, I guess the bat things have some sort of basis in reality, but the rest of them, like the thing we killed before was this sort of little fleshy sack hopping around on one little spindly leg by the looks of it, and when you get close it reveals that it's not just a sack of flesh, it's actually got this big screamy mouth. You saw that before when I fell off the ledge when I visited the mine for the first time. Where is this thing? Yeah, it's a really just awesome, awe-inspiring experience. I think I'll always hold this game in my mind as one of my favorite games, simply because of how imaginative it is. Like, it challenges all your conceptions of what a horror game looks like, what a video game looks like in general. It was the first game that really made me ask, like, what is genre when it comes to video games, and why do we use genre? Why is genre even important? Why is it a thing? So we can have a closer look at this creature. Really weird sort of spindly leg and proboscis thing that opens up into a big gaping jaw and screams at you. Hello, Alex Cheesecake. Not a gentleman, but I appreciate the sentiment.
Predators have appeared again in my realm.
Currently mucking through the void.
Even though they are not alive, they are dangerous. They feel color inside you and will always attack. Worse, their return is a sign that color is being wasted, and nothing angers the brothers more. The appearance of predators in a sister's chambers is a sign that her realm is diseased. I beg you, rid my chambers of the predators, or we're both in danger. Just be careful that you don't waste color doing so.
So the objective, which I feel like should have surfaced before because she was sort of already alluding to it, but that's fine. So is to get rid of all of the predators, so we can go back and fight the bat thing. And there's no color left to collect, so we better make what we have count.
I sense two hiding here. I can hear them.
So sort of, yeah, like... The game does give you help to start with, but a lot of its advice is very deliberately vague or obtuse or even wrong. So it feels like the game is being really supportive, but a lot of the actions the tutorial gets you to take, you only find out like 10 hours later that actually, yeah, you've kind of been doing the wrong thing this whole time. And I'm sure, given the length of time that's passed since I gave this game a full playthrough, I will also have slipped into old bad habits. But I am hoping I'm doing okay at the moment. Current goal is to find these two bat creatures. What, I got, yeah, just green and gold really. I can do that. I can handle this. Okay. I've still haven't been able to. Where's the second one? This one. I keep seeing this one. Okay. Come back here. See if we can just. I missed. Don't know why I missed. Fortunately, this game doesn't have any fall damage, at least. Okay, so we wasted a little bit of colour there, but fortunately we do have a bit to spare. I say that like as though I have any reason to be confident or assured of my survival at this stage. I do not. I have no reason to be like that. Cool. Got rid of them both. While I'm here, I guess I could... Yeah, I'll plant some emerald in that tree I didn't use last time. I'll be able to harvest that in the next cycle. What I should do actually is activate it with gold and then plant it with green. Because otherwise that's a waste of what I could be planting. When you don't have much to spare, you got to think very carefully. Okay, so these ones here, they can only take like 15 to 18 colour by the looks of it down here on this meter. So yeah, I definitely wasted a good bit before, but that's okay. Okay, so we got rid of those two. Let's just go back down to the bottom, that'll be quicker. And we'll return to the garden where there's that one bat creature remaining. It's already quite satisfying to see the colour that exists in this area dissipate, you know, around in the air. It's just a very beautiful looking game. It came out back in 2008 and it still looks very, very good. Still has a very enchanting graphical style. I remember looking at, was it the sort of the Pathologic 2 sort of alpha graphics, and I thought those looked cool to a degree, but there's really something about the Void's look that is almost like touches on being realistic. I think it's similar to the look that they settled on for Pathologic 2, where the environment has this gritty quality to it, but the characters are a bit different.
I think I got all of them.
They have this sort of larger-than-life quality, right?
Return to me.
And that's how I think we can attach to not only all the characters in Pathologic, but the characters in this game, because they do have very readable facial expressions and body language. Obviously especially easy since most of the characters in this game don't have any clothes. But you know, there's something to be said, I think, for Pathologic's emphasis on facial expression as like a vector of character expression. And I feel like the seeds of that certainly were in the original Pathologic, but there's also elements of that really strong character design that come through in the Void as well. So we'll just talk to the Nameless Sister again. and we'll see what she has to say. She's going to congratulate us for beating those evil creatures.
You succeeded. The brothers are tireless fighters, but now you also know how to fight. What if they want to test you before they decide? Now you're ready to see one of my hearts.
Haste. This glyph charges the air and ground around its creator with color. For a short time, it increases the creator's speed of movement and the distance that can be jumped. The greater the amount of color used on the glyph, the longer the effect lasts.
Okay, so it was very important that we killed those creatures because an extra heart is invaluable because it allows us to process and hold more color, so we become more powerful. But it is also important to note that, you know, the more color we hold, the faster we're processing it, so the faster we're using up our health bar almost. So it is important to keep that in mind. I don't recall ever needing to use haste in any of my playthroughs. I'm fine just walking around, but then again, like, I've played Pathologic for literally hundreds of hours, so, you know, what do I know?
We can also drink color and grow stronger. Satisfy one heart, and a sister will agree to help you. Satisfy a second, and she will have the strength to help you pass through her chamber. The brothers roam the void whenever they choose. You must learn to do this too. It won't be easy to quench my thirst and reveal two hearts. It will take more than one harvest from your garden, but that's the last I will ask of you. Open two of my hearts, and the brothers cannot question your right to be an apprentice.
Okay, so the goal is to give her enough color to open her heart, as she said. We don't really have all that much color on us at the moment, but we can give her a little bit, and then just spend the rest of the cycle processing it
Other
in order to give
sisters
her.
believe the void is already dead, and the brothers will never return here. But I think now that you have appeared, something has changed, and they feel changes, even from afar. We must be ready for their return.
Okay, so down the bottom here, so we need to give her 150 color for the first heart, and it's quite a bit more for the second, if I recall correctly. So obviously we're not going to be able to fulfill that. But we're going to hopefully get there within the next cycle. So you can see already, like, the balance between giving a sister color and planting stuff in the garden to ensure your own survival is quite a tricky line to walk, and that's why I said you can easily lose hours of progress, because you can find out, oh whoops, like I did misplant that garden like 3 cycles ago or something.
I was born only recently. The sisters had already begun to die forever back then, and no brother ascended from the abyss to take care of me. I don't know a lot of things, but I feel in the chambers of a live and happy sister that more color will appear. And if you quench my thirst, who knows? It might appear again.
Okay, so yeah, we don't really have anything to give her. We'll give her another 11. It's the last of our color in our palette there. And you know, this is one of the parts of the game that I think is up for debate. I mean, a lot of people, when they think of the Void, I think if they know the Void at all, they think of these scenes. So the more color and the more hearts you unlock, the more these sort of colourful chains will go away, and of course the more of the sister's body that you will see. So it's this bizarre mix of, you know, what sort of feels like fan service, but also in this really hostile, manipulative environment. You know, can you trust the person that you're giving the colour to? Sort of business. But there is something, there's definitely something strange about it, but also like very unashamed of the body. I mean, like very unashamed of the male figure here. It's always here when, you know, you open your menu, but at the same time, obviously, it's not presented in the same very sexualized way that some of the sisters are presented. So it's something to keep in mind when we're thinking about the game, though it's certainly not the be-all and end-all part of the game. It's still something I think that I'm thinking about that I want to address in the video in a more concrete fashion. You can see, yeah, we tick down quite fast, lose quite a lot very quickly. We'll fill this heart back up and top this one up a little bit, and we'll let the main one empty out so I can put some blue in there.
If you wish to bring the new cycle closer, you can accelerate the turning of the wheel. Time will flow faster.
So that might be what we need to do.
You can also speed the wheel to shorten the wait. But don't do this yet. You're not ready for the things that might happen so soon.
So when you have the confidence, you can go ahead and do it. Sorry about that, just had to quickly answer the door. Okay, what was I doing? I need to go here and collect all that gold. Although I probably should just process it all, I suppose. We can't process the blue. Just process everything. And there we go. And we've got these little creatures. They can be quite frustrating.
The fireflies have come to life. Sprouts are appearing, and all because of you. You bring life like a vernal sun. Remember how the tree above my grave came to life when you approached?
Is that 44? Yeah, definitely enough. I can take that. So you can attract fireflies with little motes of loose colour. That's slightly inconsistent. Their AI doesn't always go for it, but if you do manage to get that to work, yeah, wait, 25. Yeah, I can only just hold that colour. That's a lot of gold. What I'll have to do is plant some more colour here. Can't hold that. Take this blue. So what have I got? I've got gold, so I have to plant more gold in this place and process some more from the palette. So maybe we'll have a go at catching the firefly so we can get some more colour. But if it's gold, I can't carry it, so maybe it's not worth it. Okay. If I go through here, grab that, excellent. Okay. And question is, well, yeah, we'll do green, I suppose. Plant as much green as we can again. It won't be enough to fill that little bar down the bottom left, but that's okay. It'll give us something to work from. This is still, yeah, incredibly full. Although we could put that in there and some of that in there, and also put more emerald in there. We'll be able to harvest the rest of this, and just sort of waiting for these other trees we've already used to renew themselves and to have enough colour to plant in them again. So the whole game is this like weird mix of survival horror, farming simulator, I guess, and yeah, terrible trauma, suffering. Everyone is hungry, dying, starving. Business, all the fun stuff. So we'll go back here. We'll grab the green from here as well, before we eventually return to the fog garden and pick up the rest of that gold that we left behind, because we do need to process a lot of gold, and we'll be able to give that all to the sister, or most of it to the sister, and we should be good to go to get that first heart, and then hopefully really easily get the second one. I'm hoping I've set myself up to at least finish today's stream with, you know, another heart. So we'll grab this. So you notice that we get diminishing returns from each tree as we return to it. So it takes a few cycles to sort of exhaust itself and for the tree to die, which is part of what makes it so tricky, because you're planning ahead a couple of colours as well in advance. You're sort of like, okay, what am I gonna need for the next few cycles? And you know, to a certain extent, you can put all your eggs in one basket, but that can make things quite tricky. You know, you can't process all that stuff in time. You can't carry all that stuff, so you do need sort of a diversity of colours to really maximise your time here in this wonderful place. Okay, so we'll go back up and we'll get, I think it's blue that I left up the very top. But yeah, you can see how dangerous it can get very, very quickly when you're mismanaging your resources and you're not really thinking about it, and you sort of left it, you know, hours and hours and hours in advance. It can be quite difficult. But it is what I find, you know, very, very exquisitely beautiful about this game is the realization that the world, you know, the world is not there for you. You need to sort of fight for your right to exist, and that, you know, aligns with some of my own personal experiences. So the message of the game in that sense does resonate with me, and that also you have to choose what ideas and what people are the most important to you. You can't give everything to everyone. You do have to opt in to helping people. Okay, so I mean, I can see why people would use the haste glyph, I guess. You are quite slow, but a little bit of walking never hurt anybody. Okay, so what we can do is, yeah, we'll use these up. So if we go back here, because there's no more colour here, and there's no, oh, there might be a little gold, just a tiny little bit of gold.
Sisters, is there a way to kill oneself?
And we can hear very faintly a sister talking, just asking if there was a way to kill oneself. So that's the kind of tone that we're dealing with here, which probably isn't surprising if you've been watching any of this game at all. So we'll process all of that, and what we'll do, we'll give some to the sister now, give some gold to her now, and we'll pick up the rest of the gold and plant some more in the remaining trees. And I'm hoping that will that will be enough. So we'll just give her a dash of azure to talk to her. And yeah, how much we got there? 150. So we'll only just be able to fulfill that with this terribly drawn glyph. It's this sort of, abstract sequence, enjoying the colour, the freedom, slowly breaking those bonds, which also can't, is a bit strange as well, still to sort of wrap your head around.
Has taken almost all of the sisters. There are only 9 left, but they too are preparing for their deaths. With the brothers gone, there's nobody to keep color and take care of us. I am the youngest of the surviving sisters. No sister was born after me. That's why color forgot our void.
Okay. Which unlocks the next heart, which is 250 color. So that's quite a jump. But I'm hoping we should be set up well enough to fulfill that within a cycle or two. So how much do we have over here? We have 120, and we're processing, a good bit here in the heart. So we shall endeavour to just get that done and get on to the next set of chambers. We can meet the next set of sisters as well. Okay. Hop back into the water. And yes, let's traipse down here. And if I harvest the screen... Whoop. I don't know why I just randomly opt to parkour over that. So this...
Drop some color on the ground using the donor glyph. When these small creatures bite the bait, you'll be able to catch them.
Still quite a bit of gold as yet unprocessed. That one is already going. That one's already going. This one we haven't harvested yet? No, we harvested that one too. Oh, we didn't pick this one up. Was there anything else we didn't harvest, or... No, I guess I just need to wait in the void for a little bit. And process all this colour. Maybe if we need to, I can try catching one of those little fireflies, but... they're not... I don't know, in my experience they're not always worth it. The donor glyph doesn't really always attract them as it should. So yeah, we'll sit out in the void for a minute and sulk while we wait for everything to process. So save the game and just keep a good eye on our health here. So yeah, we need to process 250 color, which is a lot. Nowhere near the amount that we actually need to finish the game and to survive. Things get very brutally difficult very quickly. Process. Just keep processing. Little color factory here. You can see down the bottom right, our heart emptying out there as well. Cool. So once again, the void has gone to the next cycle. There's barely any green here and just a tiny bit of gold there, but again a lot of gold there. So what we can do is I'm just going to spend the rest of that and the rest of that. We'll go back into the garden and we're going to try harvest what we can. This tree is almost depleted.
Don't fear death. There is no.
Almost entirely depleted as well, just 9.
I will bring you luck.
We'll pick up as much of this as we can. Still got, yeah, another 60 green that we could pick up, but I think that might be the only green we've planted. I might plant some more now that we have 75.
No regrets.
Fill this up as much as we can. Get as many returns as possible. We'll leave that there. Get some more. How much gold can we carry? Another 80. Okay.
Sisters
Let's go on a little bit.
no regrets.
And a bit of blue. There's just a couple of trees left that haven't been planted, so we might as well plant those while I'm here. With probably do another blue tree, I suppose, while we're here. Can I carry this much? Not quite. If I take this back out and put it back in here, and then I'll be able to take the rest of this. See, a lot of gold going around. We've kind of crashed the market, I think. So I think there was 1 or 2 trees down this end that we can actually still plant on. And I think once it's depleted, it takes an extra cycle to be allowed to be used again. So that's why it's important to sort of stagger your plantings as well, because otherwise you wind up with some cycles where you're not getting any colour at all, which obviously is extremely problematic. I'm sure you can imagine exactly how that ends. Okay, and we have a lot of colour that's about to be processed, which should be enough to unlock that second heart. While we're here, I'll plant the last tree with some gold with another terribly drawn donor glyph, which the game still recognises, which I'm very glad for. That's something as a programmer I still haven't wrapped my head around, is how do they actually get the symbol recognition good enough for my terrible drawing. Okay, I'll put some more green in this one, some more gold in this one, more gold in this one. So yeah, I'm excited to make a video essay on it, I think, just because there's a lot to talk about, and also when I'm making a video essay, obviously the pressure will be slightly less than if I'm playing it through live, obviously, because there's a little bit more intensity to actually focus on what's going on and do internal calculations and stuff, which is why I'm looking forward to making a big long video essay on it. Process some more gold, process some more blue, and some more green. And we'll go back for that gold after we give the Nameless Sister some more gold right here. So you can see, yeah, she likes gold and she likes green, so those are the colours we have to give her. So we'll give her all of that, which is a lot of colour, really. It feels like a lot at this early stage of the game anyway. But the more hearts we get, the more colour we can hold. And we'll give her this emerald as well, because we don't really need it right now. That's a terrible glyph. It's even worse than the last one. So, and you can see, yeah, we're almost there to the second heart, which is good. So when I actually pay attention to what I'm doing, I do all right, at least to start with. Okay, so now we need to go back out to the ocean and back out to the void and wait for some more colour to process itself. We'll also go back and pick up the last of that gold from the fog. Just gonna jump our way down this cliff. Excellent. Okay. Use the azure to get back. And yeah, we could go back here and get that tiny little sliver of green that I can see as well. Might as well. Okay, where was the gold that I'd not picked up? Or does it mean the fireflies? We'll just have a little look around. It might mean the fireflies, actually. Can we attract? No, see, that's a waste because it started running away. And you can't pick it back up after you've used the donor glyph, so complete waste of colour. That's why it's so dodgy to try and attract them. But let's see. Yeah, so there we go. So they can come over, get distracted, and you can grab them, pick them up like that. Sometimes it can be a bit of a gamble though, obviously. So where did this one go? Just gotta like try your best to vaguely attract them without standing in the way and scaring them off. So you're sort of predicting where these little faceless things are gonna go. They sort of look like fireflies and penguins mixed together or something that are hovering over the ground. Again, you can't really describe these things in any significant way. They're just totally surreal creatures that, you know, don't look like they could exist on Earth in any capacity. I'll put that down. They're gonna go for it. No, they're gonna go in the opposite direction. Because of course they are. It's very frustrating. I've never been very good at this, getting these guys to actually do what I want. Great. Got both of them. And we're going to get the gold back that we wasted on them, which is something at least. So that was all the gold that was remaining in here, I think. So we might as well nip back to the reservation and harvest the remainder of that tree. And just keep processing as much of this as we can. And pop down here. So we're not doing too badly, all things considered. I really was expecting to have somehow screwed it up already, at least once, but we are going to get that second heart today, which is good. That was a personal goal of mine. So, must be the screen up here. I feel like this isn't going to give us anything. Yeah, the tree shed its blossoms can be revived in a few cycles. So you can spend a few cycles without any colour, which is why it's important to stagger your planting. So I might still have done that wrong, but at the very least I'm going to have access to, I think, 1 or 2 more gardens. At least 1 more garden from memory, which will be a lifesaver. I think this is the only plant that's left here then, because that blue one up there will have also shed, and can only be revived in a few cycles. Yeah, another 13 green here. We'll just jump all the way back down to the bottom. It really feels like I should take full damage. I'm just so glad that you don't, because otherwise these environments would be much less fun to navigate. I just love jumping around with this sort of moon physics. Whee. Okay. Let's go back here. We just have to give her a little bit more colour. So we're doing pretty good, all things considered.
I don't hear anyone anymore.
Also, especially considering this time last week, I was actually in the hospital, so I'm really glad that I'm feeling good enough to play this, of all things. Made a little bit of a recovery, which is nice. Okay, we'll just go in. We should have enough this cycle to open up the second heart here. Okay, colour. And how much we got left? Yeah, just another 23. If I'm doing my maths correctly, which I hope I am. It's not a math. I'm not a mathematician, so didn't major in mathematics. So you can't hold me to any maths problems that I get wrong live on stream.
Now you look and act just like a brother. Their looks, habits, and the eyes. But your height, it doesn't matter. They can't see anyway. Just don't let them touch you, and they won't notice. Now, don't visit the elder sisters, and don't give them color. It's suicidal. Ava and Uta belong to the most brutal brothers. The other sisters will call me Death, but don't listen to them. It's because I was born after the void stopped living, a long time ago. I heard a silent moan. Lost souls always cry like that. I called you to me and gave you shelter. I warmed you and took care of you while you were sleeping. I gave you my heart. I've taught you to survive. Trust me. Take care of yourself. Dwell in silence and tranquility.
Okay, so now we can move on and talk to Ava and Uta, despite the fact that she told us not to. We might not give them colour to start with, but we do need to give them colour if we want to advance to the next chambers anyway. And we haven't yet had the so-called pleasure of meeting any of the brothers so far, but I believe they reveal themselves very, very soon. We'll go talk to Ava first, I guess. And you can see that their chambers don't get unlocked until you give them a heart as well, so they've got some leverage over you there, that you're going to give them colour because you need access to their gardens. You don't really have any choice. But we're going to go talk to them first, see what they have to say, offer any new insights, and then we're going to mosey quickly back to the fog garden. Again,
Reveal a sister's first heart, and she'll grant you access to her chambers. Reveal the second one, and she'll let you pass to the next sister. But don't try to reveal a third heart. The brothers will never forgive you for this.
Cool, so basically just what I was saying. One heart to reveal the next chamber, next set of chambers, 2 hearts to get onto the next sister, and yeah, 3 hearts does something that we're not quite sure of yet. But what I was going to say was that, yeah, again, we have these really unique environments that detail the character of the sister living within them, And even though the void itself is this dead, hostile place, nonetheless we still do have these flourishes, these clear sort of elements of character and personality baked into the void still. So here we have Ava, clearly sort of what strikes me as being like ancient Egyptian themed, with the Sphinx sort of creature going on at the front. She's obviously very provocative, much less shy than Nameless Sister. So might as well talk to her.
Well, what a surprise. It looks as if our luck has changed. We certainly won't let you go. What do you want? But of course, you don't care about anything, do you? Ah, you're mute. I guessed right then. Well, for now, just obey me. That's how things should be anyway. To begin, feed me, new brother. Don't be afraid. It's okay. The taboos are no longer in force. The void ceased to live because it lost its soul. Everyone's been losing their soul lately. Have you noticed? Maybe there's no use for a soul anymore. We'll be lucky to last 12 hours if you don't find some color, until the sleeper meets absolute death. Let's live our hours to the fullest, and waste not one moment, Golden Eyes. Come, quench my thirst. I love amber and violet.
Don't think we have either of those just yet. But she raises an interesting point in that the other sort of allegory that we have for this game and what the void is, the other common interpretation as far as I understand it, is that, you know, this is someone has just died and we're playing as their soul and their body is fading away, but we have this one last opportunity to express ourselves. Whoa! With extreme parkour, I guess. No, we have one last opportunity to express ourselves and decide which ideology we're going to carry through into the next life. Decide who is elevated, and that's the central task that we've been given, or that we will be given, is to pick a sister, essentially pick a favourite, and give them colour. And that will be our goal, alongside surviving an increasingly fraught political environment, as it turns out, is going to be part of the struggle. We'll just harvest as much colour as we can here. But I can't remember what cycle the first brothers appear, but it does become quite fraught quite quickly. There was a first little bit of amber there. We might get some more.
I am the color of your power and fame. I am the color of your power and fame.
Might be really hard to hear, but I am the color of your power and fame is what's being whispered there. So we're doing quite well, I say, very modestly. We haven't encountered any significant roadblocks yet. The main thing will be ensuring that I have enough colour to ride out possibly a cycle or two without very much at all. We're full, so we'll stop harvesting gold for now. But we could put some more in the heart here. And so amber, a little bit of amber, process some more, and some more there. Let's try and process a good chunk, and then save some of it for a moment. Okay, so we'll go back and finish harvesting this tree, and you'll see that, there are no trees, I think, left to plant in, which is why we have to be really careful with our colour usage from here on out, because we are getting diminishing returns for a little bit until the colour, until it allows us to sort of replant these trees again. So that was definitely the last one we'll get out of there. Can pick up another 12. Yep, that's fine. Okay. So if we can now go up and see Uta in the grotto, which I think, you know, like I already really liked the game beforehand, but Uta's grotto is a favourite of mine.
I'm waiting for you.
Made me fall in love conclusively with the game. Have this encounter first. So that's our sister, Ole, who happens to be very, very far away indeed, so we probably won't see her until the end of the game, whereas we do have Nameless Sister right here, who is our friend anyway. Why is that? No, where are we? Where am I, actually? No, I'm already here, silly me. That was an embarrassing waste of colour. I hadn't seen that I'd moved. Okay. Process some amber there in the leg, and we'll talk to Uta. And this location is certainly one of my favourites in video games in general, I think. I mean, I know it sounds like I have a lot of those, but this is such a clever, and as with Pathologic, very theatrical setup. It feels just strikingly made to be framed and put on a wall. You have Uta in this hugely long dress, in this hammock, in sort of what looks like this abandoned port, staring up wistfully at this moon with a single eye. Just both of them, the two of them, looking at each other. She's obviously very melancholic, very depressive sister. But then you also have just this sort of shoreline here. Ships crashed, you know, on the beach, never to sail again. And once again,
Don't get ahead of yourself, and don't spend precious drops in vain. The brothers will never come back, so that's all the colour you've got.
Once again, you have this sort of ruin, right? You have this place that has been, that you can imagine, you know, was once completely splendorous, that had this incredible quality to it, and now just all that remains is just these sort of faded, broken bits of itself. But nonetheless, that's still enchanting. We still want to know, like, we want to imagine. I think that's what the ruin does, right? Is invite us to imagine. And you know, here we are in this incredible space, you know, imagining if it looks this incredible now, what must it have looked like beforehand? And yeah, I just sort of left. I remember, like, I just stood here once, like, just thinking, like, it's a space to think, just staring out at the ocean. It's a good simulacra of how it feels to stand, you know, on the beach, staring out at the ocean. You do have the howling wind. You do have this, you know, the gentle lap of the waves against the shore. But you also have this really haunting, melancholic piano track that plays as well. This is one of my favourite, just locations in general. I used to come here to think about what I was going to write and that kind of thing. It was a space that I felt so intrinsically attached to, that I would boot up the game just to come and visit for a little while. It's just such a cool visual, right? Just really awesome. So we'll talk to her for a minute and see what she has to say. She suddenly looks much more imperious.
Whose spirit are you? You must be lost. Death is below in the nightmare, where you'll decompose atom by atom. Even eternal souls die if they have no color. At first they simply leave, then dissolve in the cold. You're on your way. Still, you're quite lucky your soul lingered here, and we are too, even though you're someone else's soul. But your luck won't last. There's only hunger, slumber, and waiting for the end to come. Our void lost its soul too. Now we call it the sleeper. A lost soul can only survive 2 months, 24 days, and 24 hours before it dies forever. You can stay here, but what's the use? Color is gone. Still, I've heard the other sisters talking recently, but why am I telling you this? You're dead anyway, aren't you? Or can you give me a taste of the emerald or silver I love? Do you know how to do that?
We have a little bit of emerald. It's 200 emerald is what we need, and also silver, which we have none of. So I'll give her, say, 40 for now.
What are you looking at, Spirit? Your master ceased to live, so you had to die. It was chance that you stumbled into the void, into the body of some other poor fool dying alive.
And here we have that interpretation I was talking about
Does the one who
before.
lost you want you back? What do you think? Do you wonder if he's trying to get his soul, you, back right now? Well, don't. He doesn't care about you. Nobody cares about anything anymore. And no one knows why nobody cares.
So we have this belief that the void is, the body of someone dying, and that we're a soul. It either belongs to that body, like a fragment of that soul, or we're a different soul entirely that somehow stumbled into the wrong dying body. Both of which are perfectly interesting, fascinating theories. So we'll wander out here. I suppose I'll... what can I do now?
Very much wanted to sin.
That was terrible. What was I thinking with that? Get some more emerald going. Get some more gold going. And don't really have any other colour other than the fireflies that we can harvest. Although maybe there's a little flourish of gold in here, so we can have a look. Look and see. No, possibly not. Might just play for just a little bit longer, and then I should be off. But I feel very lucky to be able to play this game, to have sort of finally reached the point of confidence as well with my own streaming ability, that I can talk and play this incredibly complex, weird game at the same time. Is there anything else to say? No. Okay. Guess I'll just wait for the next cycle and hope that some silver and amber spawn, so I can start to plant those as well. Hopefully. Really the objective for now is just to stay alive. So we've done all that, and now we're just sort of waiting for our next objective, when the brothers return, which they might return soon. Things will happen. Well, speak of the devil there. They might return soon, they might return now. And we have some of the best monster designs in video games as well in this game. Abstract and terrifying. So we have mantid has spawned, and he's going to want to talk to us and really let us in on some of the lessons. And I believe this is Whaler. He's just fabulously designed as well. He's got a face on his back there, and his head has been replaced by a spike. So they're all going to come over, and are they going to want to talk to me? And that's Montgolfier. It doesn't look so horrifying, I suppose, but he's just this body that flies around on hot air balloon pants, which honestly, you know, that's a pretty awesome design. I can't argue with that at all.
Wasting Nerva from your hearts.
Oh, okay, so we have so much gold that it's actually, you need to spend it. If I put that in there, I'm going to take that out. So yeah, this is where we get left with sort of a tricky situation, right? You can hear the heartbeat going.
You're almost depleted. You're dying.
I'll have to give Nameless Sister some colour, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, I mean it's good for her, but if I want to actually stay alive. Cool, she's gonna have something to say
The
now.
end. We're too late. Now nobody will escape.
Okay, so the brothers are spawned back. All is lost, all is terrible. But it's alright, have some gold, that'll cheer you up. Okay, so we're going to have some of that, and then yeah, we'll get to the end of this cycle, and then I'll head off. For the moment, it's been good to play Pathologic 2 and The Void together. 2 games I've wanted to stream for quite some time, and now they're both underway, which is very exciting. So hopefully people will be able to see more of these live over the coming weeks, and of course they'll all be archived on my YouTube channels as well for anyone who misses some of them, who wants to watch them again. Will be archived as usual. Okay, so we have quite a bit of stuff there. Just quickly gonna top up our heart there. So we'll come over here and quickly harvest some amber. We can see our Mantid wants to talk to us, I think. Yep, he's going to hijack the entire game and rush over. Yep, I'm coming. Yep, I can talk to you.
I speak for all brothers, young one. Listen carefully and heed our words. We are happy that you have appeared. Very happy. You do not have the right to be called Keeper yet, but we already think of you as our little brother. We are proud of you and glad that you ascended. But until you have learned and followed the commandments and seen the revelation, you are an enemy. One mistake and you could ruin everything. And if you act, we will execute you. For now you must wait. Study diligently and follow the commandments, and your apprenticeship will be a blink in time.
It's nice to be called a little brother by this
We will accept
creature.
you into the brotherhood of the righteous and hold a feast in your honor.
It's pretty terrifying what you could turn
Rejoice,
into.
for soon your first mentor will greet you.
Just looks like, his life should be a constant agony. This is actually a really good place to finish. It's sort of set up very nicely for the next episode, as it were. Commandments. Through their righteousness, the brothers proved they were worthy of a place in the void. The brothers climbed up from the depths, from a realm where colour is unheard of, where the mind itself denies colour's existence. Their act of faith was great, and it earned them their paradise. And here they saw Lympha of colour, their image of a powerful god. There is no greater reward for a true believer than to become the keeper of heaven. The brothers have surely earned their reward, and the power of their law is now nearly infinite. So, as with Pathologic, this game is all about moral decay and how far you will go to survive. We're going to have to do some pretty nasty things, potentially, to survive and claw our way through this horrible, bleak realm known as the Void. And I'm very excited to continue showing this game off next time, but actually it's a really seamless, perfect place to end. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed. There are a couple of hiccups here and there, but by and large that first one went very well indeed. So I hope you have a very good rest of your day. Really appreciate you watching and supporting my ramblings. I appreciate it very much. I will catch you all later on. Thank you very much.